There's actually a part of the Bible that pushes back on capitalism and advocates for self-care in a way that will make your life better. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm a deep skeptic, also a pastor. Okay, so there's a lot of problems with capitalism. One of the things that capitalism does is that it treats humans as commodities. It treats humans in the same way as we treat tools. And by that I mean it defines us based on how much we can produce. In a capitalist society, the people that are thought of as the best, as the most successful, are the people that accomplish the most, that make the most money, that are the highest levels in their organization. Capitalism encourages more and more growth, more and more accumulation, this sort of relentless pursuit of profit. And this is why in a capitalist society, people are rewarded for overworking. And when the capitalism goes unchecked, when its most sort of evil and dark places are left to run rampant, the ultimate evil expression of capitalism is slavery. It is the ultimate commodification and dehumanization of people. And it's interesting, it's the commodification and dehumanization of everyone, because the people at the top are only respected and only powerful because they are successful, because they have money, and everybody else is just treated as a tool in the service of the profit. In a capitalist society, self-care is viewed with suspicion. You need to take some time off to breathe and recenter yourself. No. That is damaging to the bottom line. If you have an emergency with your family, you can take one day, but only take one day. Anything else might endanger completing the project and releasing the thing so that the profits can increase this quarter. In the Bible, the Jewish people suffered from all of these same kind of things that are echoed in our modern capitalist society. They were enslaved. Their humanity, their dignity was taken away. They were treated like tools. Their worth was defined based on how much they could produce for the system that was trying to create the profit. So when they were freed from slavery, there was this radical redefinition of who they are. They were no longer slaves. They were valued by God based on their existence. They were valued because they were a creation, because they were humanity, and because God loved them. But when you live in a society that has programmed you for hundreds of years to define people's worth based on their productivity, that kind of stuff doesn't go away just because a pastor tells you that it's wrong. So there was a practice that they engaged in that they called Sabbath, where every single week they took 24 consecutive hours off. And that 24 consecutive hours had a couple of different things that it focused on. First and foremost, it focused on rest and renewal, right? You were not allowed to work. You were not allowed to do the things that were difficult, that were part of how you made a living or got through from day to day in the rest of your life. The second thing was that you were to focus on God and on, the idea that a sense of transcendence and connection with the divine was an important way that you could rise above all of that part of your life and all of that programming. And all of this was done in community. So all of this time was spent with other people who were also trying to practice this radical redefinition of who they are and reevaluation of their existence. So I want to know what would happen if you took 24 consecutive hours off. Or maybe that's a big ask to start with. Just 12 consecutive hours. If you took 12 hours of self-care, of relaxation, where you did not work, where you did not do the things that you hate and that are very difficult for you, chores that get you from day to day. And you did the things that gave you a sense of transcendence, of connecting with God or the universe or whatever. And you did things with other people to help develop those relationships. Like, what would happen to your life? I think it would be a lot better. The Bible has a pro tip, because this is not easy, especially when you've grown up in a culture that defines your value based on what you can produce. The pro tip is that you have to prepare for the Sabbath. In order to take those 12 hours or maybe one day 24 hours off, you've got to, make sure you've got some laundry. You've got to, if food is not your thing, if making meals is a chore, you've got to get something together so that you can not have to make a meal. And then you've got to figure out what it is that you like doing, what it is that self-care. So many of us are not even really sure the things that bring us life. And then plan for those. Get some supplies to garden or your writing stuff, whatever it is. If the whole culture did this, would it decrease productivity? Absolutely. Would some companies not make as much money? 100%. But, who cares about that, really? When it comes to a good life and enjoying yourself and taking care of yourself, man, that's way more important than profit.